Hey friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for this December daily video. If you'd like to see what I'm going to do, stick around. What's up friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for this video. Today I'm working on story number 3. Story number 3 is about Norah's wish list. So this year she did her wish list on using like the Amazon catalog that came. And I do my little like pre-planning in this little notebook here. And so for story 3, let's see if I can find it. Hello. I wanted to do sort of like an envelope that looked like a present and then pulled out. So what I was thinking is these are some of the things, like these were the stickers that were included in the catalog, and I don't know if I'm going to use any of those, but they're really cute. And then I kept like the front cover and the back inside cover just in case I wanted to keep a little bit of the ephemera, and just I thought that might be fun to include. And then Norah's list, which I trimmed down as much as I could. Her handwriting, she did it really quickly because she was so excited. So, and she's a lefty, but she wrote skincare, lip balm, a vlog mic, a, what does this say? Take 4. Must be a game. Gift cards, a slime. We're not getting her gift cards, so nice try, Norah. Keki's cousins, they're like these little stuffed animals that belong to Gabby's dollhouse. AirPods or Beats, a gaming chair, makeup, fake nails, please or else, which is a joke because she knows she's not going to get those. So that's her little list, and I wanted to be able to pull it out of an envelope, and I was deciding what paper to use, and I almost went with this really pretty bow paper. I thought that would be appropriate, but then I was kind of toying with the idea of repurposing this gingerbread packaging, which is so cute. I love the gingerbread motif this year, and so I decided this is what I'm going to use to make a envelope. And then I was toying around with different like styles of punches and like a die cut piece that I'm going to put on here to pull out. And so I made like a mock-up one with just some extra construction paper or pattern paper that I had. And I know I want it to be about this size. And then I went in my stash from last year and I had this, which is the perfect size. I think it's a 2-inch circle. Let me see. Yeah, it's a 2-inch circle. And then I can use my little gingerbread guy because I saw Denise's vlog post a while back. I think it was a vlog post on the Allie Edwards vlog post. And blog post rather, and she used her gingerbread folk and had them holding things, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want my gingerbread folk person to be on here on the slide out and have something that says wish list. And then I was going through my words, and I don't know if this is from the main kit or from the advent sticker kit, so I'm sorry if this is a spoiler, but this does say checking it twice, and I thought that would be so cute if he had a little sign that he was holding that said checking it twice, which is the list obviously, and then just using this to be the pull out feature. And that's what I'm going to do. So I am, oh, and then for ribbon to make it look like a present, I'm thinking I'm going to use this red velvet ribbon, which is from Target last year. It was by Sugar Paper in like the gift wrap section, and it's nice and thick because I did love the ribbon that came with the kit as an add-on this year, but not came with kit, but as an add-on. But it's a little bit thin for me. So I am going to use this one, I think, unless I decide to change the embellishments. It's going to depend, the ribbon is going to depend on what kind of tag embellishment I want to use. So I want to hang a little embellishment here that has it's just like a decoration and has the number 3 on it. So, or is this going to be story 4? I think this is story 3. 3? Okay. So I'm going to speed up the camera and do my voiceover. So let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is deconstruct this sleeve for the packaging and trim it down to be 8 3/4 by 9 3/4. That's just the size that worked for me, given the size of the wish list. That's what I'm basing it off of. You could adapt yours to be any size, based on your album and whatever it is that you want to include inside the envelope. And you could do this, use this idea for anything. It doesn't have to be to hide a wish list. It could literally be to house any stories or journaling that you would like, either in December Daily or any other type of scrapbook project you might be working on. So once I have it set down to the size I want, I'm going to score it halfway. I think it was like 5 7/8 maybe. But if you're not sure the size for the middle, you could just fold it in half first and score it, which is basically what I did. And then I am going to get my punch and punch out half of a circle, so that you can see the tab to pull out the wish list inside. Oh, first I'm going to score the sides as well, which is 1/4 inch on each side, just to create a little bit of a flap. I do make a lot of mistakes along the way, so you can learn from them. I won't cut them out. I will leave them in and just kind of narrate for you what I'm doing that's incorrect so that you don't do the same thing. So, for example, I initially am going to use double-sided tape to tape both of these folded flaps down, realizing later that I only need one flap. There's no reason for me to have two flaps to hold this together because the contents that are going inside are not that thick anyway. And if you wanted a little bit more stability, I would suggest creating a larger tabbed scored part, because it doesn't stay down that well. I end up going back and reinforcing the way it's adhered with the double-sided tape with some glue I have. So now I'm going to go and punch out a half circle. The half circle is exactly the same size as the tab. So I'm just going to cheat a little bit and kind of trim it down by hand, make it a little bit wider so that you can see the entire joy circle perfectly. I hope that makes sense. You can see that I'm trimming around it now. I can't get quite the even looking semicircle, so I'm going to, I don't know if it's now or later on, but I lay it down on top of my We Are Memory Keepers tiny cutting board, and I will use my X-Acto knife to just shave a teeny little bit off so that the edges look nice and smooth. Then I take these ginger folk I already have stamped out and the back of a template that I was using before I actually used the pattern paper, just to practice on as a surface to do my stamping on. So I'm going to stamp directly. And by the way, I decided to go with a white ginger folk so that I could add a little like outfit to her. And also, I didn't want it to be any of the brown colored inks that I'd already pulled up. You could see them at the top of the screen. There's Gathered Twig, Brush, Brush Corduroy, and Vintage Photo. Those are wonderful colors for ginger folk, but I decided to leave her plain so that she stood out against the joy circle that she'll be sitting on. So I'm going to use my red dye ink from Studio Calico. It's in the shade Well Red, R-E-D, pun intended, I'm sure. And then I'm going to create a little skirt. And this is a Suki Nico Dewdrop Versa Magic ink pad, the little tiny dewdrop inks that I use so often in my media journal or anytime I'm stamping on Tomoe River paper because it doesn't bleed through. So I'm going to cut out the little skirt, and then I am going to go back and make a little bow as well. Oh, let's not forget her eyes. Also, the glue pen I'm using is just my Zig 2-way glue pen. And I'm going to take the little eyes, and I use washi tape to mask off the smile because I really like just the little eyeballs. So I just stamp the eyeballs themselves on my Memento black ink, pull off the washi, and then I can stamp it onto her face, and all that shows up are her eyeballs. They're the little tiny lashes. It's super cute. And then I have to create the little sign she's holding, which this turned out to be a disaster in my opinion, but I left it so it looks real homemade. I used the word phrase checking it twice, and I should have just left it, but I was like, let me pop it up on some foam tape, and I couldn't find my foam tape, so I used the dot, you can see the squares. And the problem with that is when you lift it up, they all kind of fall apart because there's 4 of them underneath there and not just one long strip of foam tape. So it was a hot mess. And then I wanted it to look thinner because I felt like it took up too much of the ginger person, which is, I guess, technically Nora in my head. So I tried to make it a little thinner, and that really, like, jacked up the edges of this word phrase sticker. And it looks real janky in person. So I'm just putting that out there. If you wanted to trim down a word phrase sticker and use foam tape, I would do that on actual foam tape and not on individually scored squares of foam foam tape. So live and learn. So here I go again. I just folded the little hands down so it looks like she's holding the sign, and then I go back and create her bow. And once that's done, I'm going to be able to glue her onto the Joy die cut. I don't know. I'm debating going back and like taking the whole sign off and redoing the entire gingerbread or ginger Nora. I don't know what should be called, but this little girl here, she is just so special looking in real life. I might have to we might have to do a little bit of a redo off camera and put it back all together. Although I'm not sure what I would do about the checking it twice sticker. I might have to stamp it out or do something else because it just is not giving. It's not. Anyhow, we're going to move past that. And I'm using my score tape to adhere her to the tab so that when you pull the tab out, she's really on there and she's not going to fall off. And then I can put that on top of the wish list and make sure that that is where, oh, see, here's now where I'm going to trim just a little bit more off of the edge. And I'm much happier with that. Okay, so this ribbon turned out to be a small nightmare. And I say that because it's gorgeous and it's very high quality in that it's meant for gift wrap and not for probably being trimmed down and, you know, finagled into different positions over and over, because it kept fraying and pulling, and oh my gosh, I wanted to cry. At one point I was like, you know what, I'm just not even gonna do this. I'm gonna walk away. But I have very little time to get these videos done, and I just was like, all right, we're just gonna muscle through. So see how I'm taking off the double-sided tape and you see the 2 sides of the folded down tabs? You only need 1 side with folded down tabs, not 2. And then I'm going to make sure that the ribbon is just over the side, the edge there, so that I can sort of tuck it in, and it kind of looks like it might go all the way around, even though it doesn't. And again, I'm using score tape. It's just a 1/2 inch size score tape, so it's almost the size of the ribbon, to adhere that down. And I'm going to make the other side that's crossing over it go above where you pull out the wish list that's inside. Now, I am going to let you know what I ended up doing. You'll probably see it on camera here. Is I went and got my lighter. I remembered from my like crafting wreath making days years ago. It was like this phase I went through during like, I don't know, pre-pandemic maybe. I made all these wreaths, and I remembered that one of the ways you can stop a ribbon from fraying is to see here, it's you can see the red fuzzies all over my desk. It's a mess. Is to use a lighter and kind of very lightly get close to the edge of the ribbon. You have to do it obviously carefully so you don't set anything on fire and, you know, like yourself or the ribbon, you know. I'm not encouraging this, especially if you're someone young and you're watching this video and you're not supposed to be playing with fire, don't do that. Obviously, seek an adult's help. But that's what I did because I was desperate and I was like, I am not changing this ribbon. This is the ribbon I'm using. But I would have done the little lighter trick before putting it down on the cardstock, because God forbid, what if it had caught fire? And it could have been such a disaster. I mean, it already was, let's be honest, but if it had caught fire, wow, I don't know. So I'm going to trim down these pieces of ephemera to go inside as well, because I want to include them. They're so cute, and it's very, you know, every year the Christmas Prime catalog is, or holiday catalog, I should say, is different. And this included a little bit about the artist they used for the year. And so I put that in there, and then I trimmed down the sticker sheet because I didn't end up using them, and put that in there. Now you can see here, this is where I pulled on the ribbon and all of this ribbon piece began to fray everywhere. I wanted to cry. So I had to replace it. You can see I even pulled over my Tim Holtz ribbon to see if that might look better, but I was like, nope, I'm going to stick with this thick velvet ribbon. Let me go get my lighter. Here we go. We're good. Anybody remember Beavis and Butthead? In real time, like, I was going, fire, fire. Oh my gosh. I was like loopy at this point because it was a little bit late, and I was like, all I wanted was to make this present looking envelope. Like, it just, sometimes you plan these things in your head and you think, oh, it's going to be so easy. And then you go to construct it and it's not. And that was the case here. And I was really, honestly, I promise you, I was near tears. Especially because now I'm like, oh, it keeps popping, or maybe in a few minutes, I'm going to be like, oh, it keeps popping open. This score tape is not doing what it should be doing. So now I'm like, all right, I gotta pivot from the nightmare of this shredding ribbon situation. And so I am going to use some more score tape to adhere the tab itself, and then kind of work on, what do I do next? Oh, I think I make the bow for the top of this quote unquote present, which I toyed around with so many ideas. Okay. I toyed around with using the felt bows that I got as an add-on for the kids. I toyed around with using the die cut bows. I thought about using even like different shapes, but in the end, because I'm really trying to avoid this red bow, this particular ribbon and the fraying. And then I want to also select my items for this dangling tag that I want to have hanging. And I think the white bow, actually now looking at it, would be cute, but because I'm going to use one of these tags as well, I thought it looked a little bit flat and two-dimensional for my taste. So I'm going to use the dreaded red velvet ribbon, and I'm going to use the long green tag. And then I thought about journaling. I actually don't do any journaling for this story because I don't think it really needs any. I think this story works and stands alone by itself. Clearly, it is about Norah's wish list. And when you open up the contents of the things inside, you can see that that's what it is. So there's no need for me, in my opinion, this year to elaborate on what's, going on here. So I'm just going to go through some of my embellishments and select things that I think would look cute as a sort of clustered dangle, if you will. And I want that to hang from underneath where the bow portion of this ribbon is going to be. So you can see I've determined my fate. I've settled on this red ribbon, and I'm going to tie it in a bow and use my glue fabric. Actually, I don't even know if it's glue fabric. It's by Aleene's, and it's clear gel tacky glue. I use it on lots of things, and it is amazing. And I get it at Michael's or Amazon or Joann, and I'm just going to configure a bow and glue it on. And then once that's set, I can go back to deciding, which is one of my favorite parts, is finding all the different little embellishments I want to add. And you could see that I was really inspired by this green tag. I wasn't going to go with green at all. In fact, I was trying to stick with red and pink because of the Norah ginger person situation. and I really like the way the green stood out. So that then expanded my ideas of what I could use. So then I wanted to use the green felt number and a little white wooden veneer star from last year's kit. I used the this year transparency word die cut, and then this gold thread that I have from Joanne. And I'm going to create just a little cluster here with all those pieces. And the way I punched holes in the felt 3 and in the this year word was with my crocodile on the smallest hole punch setting. And then I can create just a little, I'm just tying it a bunch of times, and then I'm going to slide it through the bow and make sure it's stuck there pretty good. At this point I had a forced break because it was time to eat dinner, so I had to walk away. I was like, I'm almost finished. But so anyway, once I get the cluster tied down, I'm going to trim, there I go with the fire, trim down the ends of the ribbon there so it looks like there's little darts, and it's super cute. Honestly, I'm shocked. I was very unsure about how this was going to turn out. I love the end results. Like I said, I might go back and completely redo the tag pull and the ginger girl. I might change the circle, the die cut circle, even though I really love that it says joy, but I'm not sure at this point. I might just end up leaving it because I don't really have time. So I was not sure if I was going to stamp or use stickers, but I saw these green alphas and I was like, oh, they're the alpha from this year. By that I mean there's a stamp set that I have that's got the wonky letters and numbers on it, and it's the same font, I think. So I wanted to use that. And it was much easier for me at this point to use stickers because I was really like, I don't want to get the stamp stuff out. I don't want to do all of that right now. I'm tired and I've had quite enough of the shenanigans with this story. So I'm going to move these around and reposition them a couple of times and just spell out Norah's list. And that is going to serve as the only journaling and the title for this story, in addition to the little sign that she's holding that says checking it twice. I think it is super cute. In the end, it worked out. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but I do really like the end result. Now here's where you're going to see that the thing keeps popping open, so I'm going to trim off the extra tabs that I don't need. See, now there's only tabs on the one side. Then I'm going to use my tacky glue to make sure it's adhered down and it stays down, which it does. I can tell you I'm doing the voiceover a day later and the pocket is nice and secure. I had to reinforce the bow as well with some more glue, and that is going to do it. So now I have all of the stickers and all of the things from my ephemera that I want in there. I just have them all paper clipped together, and I'm very happy with the way it looks. The last thing I do is, once I get everything inside the envelope, use one of these attachers from Citrus Twist, I think it's from. It's just a long tab with holes punched in it and then a sticky part that I'm just going to make sure is really on the back of this envelope using my bone folder, and then put everything back so you guys can see how it looks all together, finally finished. I think it took me a couple of hours to make this, which is ridiculous, but here it is. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss my content, and make sure you tag me if you try to recreate this or are inspired by my story. Thank you again so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate your support, and I cannot wait to see what you create. Take care of yourselves, sweet friends. Remember that you are enough, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.